I tell you this would be a 2 to 3 minute video, but it's probably going to be like a million minutes. But thanks for watching. Now we're going to go over Socrethar. Phase 1 is on the left-hand side. What we're trying to do is create a really clean transition from part 1 into part 2. So remember, we're going to hero pot on pull, so we maximize our total damage into the target, and then get into that rotation of part 2. Now, the issue that we're having was ghosts and all that other fun stuff, so we talked about it a little bit. We really think that we have a really solid solution on how to approach it. Now, if you look at part 2 is the difference now is that we're just going to keep the boss in the middle, so he represents the black dot, and then the green is going to represent the construct. And then we're going to start piling, heals are and melee are going to pile on the construct, so that way we're making sure that we're all together in one group and we're all lined up towards blue. So if you see how I got that line there, then what we want to do is put ourselves in a position so the construct is going to face directly towards blue through the boss, so that way no matter what, the ghosts have to go in a straight line to us. Now, who's going to be allowed to move and whatnot? We're going to say that the orange dots represent range, and range, since they're going to be responsible for what's coming out of the purple portal, for example, regardless if it's north south, they're always across from each other. So blue's going to be on one side, purple's going to be on the other, and we'll just adjust the facing as it is. I talked with Zoe, and this is for tanks. Okay, so phase 2 starts. The first thing that the construct needs to do is the tank needs to grab a construct and then immediately identify where the blue portal is, and then place a prison down in front of it. Then transition over to where the boss is located in the center of the room, and then position themselves in a direct line towards it opposite of the boss. And then immediately run past the boss, like put the debuff on the boss so that that counter's going and it gets a couple hits in. Go start to pile up, and then run a flame directly towards the prison. And if the prison's up again, put another one down, and then immediately come back and engage on that one again and again. The idea here is to use the prisons to slow down the amount that are coming in, to stack them up properly, and then lay down multiple fires over and over and over until it transitions where the portals switch ends of the game. Alright? So what we're going to be looking to do is lay down multiple fires that they have to travel through after that first prison is put down. I don't necessarily think we're going to need multiple prisons, but the idea is to put a prison down, slow them down, pile them up, and then burn them by having them go through multiple fire trails that are stacked up. This will also give him the opportunity to be able to do a fire trail, not necessarily all the way up to them, so he's not getting damaged by the Ghost Aurora by being close to them, and it allows him to lay down multiple fire tracks right next to each other or directly on top of each other to maximize the total amount of damage. Now, for if you get marked by the group of ghosts as they're coming through and we see that line, the idea is to stack all those lines properly, okay? And for the rest of the group, the idea is to get ready to do damage on them as they get closer to the boss, not while they're on the fire. We want the fire to maximize the total amount of damage, and then we want the tank to make sure that they're using the orb at the right time. So as they're getting closer and they're in this nice clean stack, boom, hit them with the orb, and then you set down another prison, for example, and we try to do that rotation again. Then when the field flips and we call it out, because we'll have to, raid leader needs to be on top of it, or the group as a whole needs to be on top of it. Be like portals flip. As soon as that happens, then the tank running the construct needs to find the blue portal that's no longer at the north end. It needs to find it on the south end, or vice versa, and immediately prison that one. So we're going to have to kind of watch when we use those prisons because of the cooldowns. So that way we can immediately do it again, and then we just pivot to the other side. And by keeping us in the middle, it allows us to keep our Form 1 that we used during Phase 1, and keep everybody relatively close, so that way we can transition if we make some mistakes, for example. We don't get enough interrupts from melee in the tanks on the boss. We're not killing the Dominator fast enough, so in turn the Construct's taking a lot of damage. So if we could tighten up on all those things, I think we're going to have a really, really good time with this. Just the big issue naturally throughout last night's attempts was revolving around the ghost. So, I think this is really going to help, and it's going to minimize the movement, and it kind of keeps the form exactly the same way as the other forms. So it allows us to be able to do that. Range, if you get targeted with a ghost, for example, you can just move to wherever the stack point is, and what we'll do is that's right behind the construct. So The rest of them needs to just pay attention and listen to call outs for targets as they're going, because there's no real universal view. The way that the fight is set up intentionally puts you in a position where it's difficult for you to see what's behind you because you're having to do something in front of you naturally. So dominators take priority when they're on scene. The shadow volleys can be interrupted from the casters coming out of the purple consistently. We did a really good job on that. We had, I think, our interrupt percentage for all of our attempts last night on the boss was like around 43%. I'm not sure necessarily because he does spend time in the shield, for example, but like we need to get an interrupt rotation. So tanks take priority on it. So whoever's tanking the boss has priority on interrupt. And if they don't have it available, they need to call it out. So that way the next one can be interrupted. We'll probably have to start designating 2 to 3 people for it specifically. So that way we're constantly interrupting it and keeping the construct up as long as possible. I hope this explains everything, and I hope it puts us in a better position to be able to succeed. Continue to review the fights. Remember, this will be the last week that we're going to be doing normal on a full-time schedule, since a lot of people are going to have their 4-4 completed when we get Gorfine down tonight or tomorrow. That'll allow us to be able to, I guess, start skipping. So if we can start skipping, for example, the first 6 bosses of normal, then so be it. That's what we're going to do. So what it'll look like, it'll be something where we'll probably put Heroic on Tuesdays, for example, or on a specific day that we have the higher attendance and higher item level players. That means item level is going to change as far as those are required. So right now it's 680 for normal. Most of the gear, for example, that's going to be coming out of Heroic is above 710, so I'll scale it down. So 698 is going to be, 695 is going to be kind of like the benchmark to get into the Heroic attempts, especially the start of them. Underperformance too, remember you're going to have to be asked to step out if you're not doing it. So, you got to step up, especially on Socrethar, for example. We need to make sure that we're getting our maximum amount of interrupts going, damage going, and heals going too. We need to find ways. So I think the stack here is going to really give us an opportunity to be able to increase and all that, because we'll have a lot less movement and we have a cleaner plan. If you have any questions, please post below and just let me know ASAP, all right? I'll talk to everybody later, and I'll see you in tonight for rating, okay?